Welcome to the Personal Trainer Hustle. Personal Trainer Hustle. If you didn't know, you do now.
Welcome back to the Personal Trainer Hustle. You guys, today's going to be a good one. If you guys are looking to start your own personal training business, or if you've already started and you are having a lot of questions, a lot of struggles, a lot of doubts around, what you may be doing wrong, maybe things aren't working out the way that you thought they should be going, and maybe you have a lot of questions around your business. Today, I'm going to give you guys a reality check on your business, and I want to go over a lot of the elements that make up your business. So, just like fitness, the term business encompasses a lot of different ideas, right? If you said, I work in fitness, well, that can mean a lot of different things. And so the same is true for business. Business is a word that all of us throw around, right? I have a business. I want to start a business. I want to be an independent trainer, right? We say these things, but we haven't stopped to really dissect and really put together what that means to us. What is the business? How am I putting my business out there? How do I plan to make my business succeed, right? So just saying that you have a business, I don't know what that means. The world doesn't know what that means. And sometimes even we don't know what that means, and we're the ones that have a business, right? But we don't know what it means. So today, I want to give you guys an overview of just some things that I need you to be aware of that are part of your business. So we're going to talk about what your business is and also the elements of your business that lead to you having a successful business. I hope that us covering all of these elements, covering these categories and these concepts, my goal is, and what I titled today's episode in my notes was, I want you to know how to solve the right problems. Something that I've noticed over the years that I've been doing this, and even recently with some of the questions that I've gotten in, is sometimes we're not asking the right question. Sometimes we're not solving for the right part of our business. Sometimes we think that we have a sales problem when it's really a marketing problem. Sometimes we think that our price is off when really it's about where we're training or how we're training, right? Sometimes we think it's our certification when really it's just our soft skills, our inability to talk to strangers. There's so many different parts, and so I hope that today's overview of the different parts of business will help you guys begin to start asking better questions about your business. It's the only way you guys are going to succeed in your businesses is to actually be able to pinpoint where your problem is. If not, you're going to keep wondering, or you're going to keep investing time and energy into a part of your business that may not need to be looked into. And that happens a lot when we're new to business, when we're, not really business people. A lot of the time, what I notice with business people is a lot of time invested in parts of the business that do not need time invested. And on the other end of that, we have a lot of people investing no time into the issue that is actually ailing their business. So that is what I want you guys to understand about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about your business, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about the 7 parts or the 7 building blocks, the 7 elements that your business has to account for if you want it to be a legitimate business that succeeds over time. So the first question I want to ask you guys as we think about today's topic is, what is your business? Okay? What I notice with a lot of personal trainers is that we claim to have a business because we've gotten as far as being certified and having a name. Maybe we have a website, and so we say we have a business. But my question is, how ready are you to begin to do business? Because anything that we talk about after this cannot happen if there is no actual business set in place. And one of the issues that I've noticed with new business people is that we have a business and we think, Sam, I don't know how to market it, or Sam, I don't know how to sell, or I don't know how to expand. And when I ask you a simple question as to, okay, what are your price plans? We're not even sure what the price plans are. If I ask you, do you come to my house, or do I go to the gym, or what's the address? I'm not sure what that is. If I ask you, okay, what paperwork do I need to fill out? I mean, do I sign up online or do we do it in person? We don't have an answer for that either, right? That is your business. So the elements of the business themselves have to be taken care of before you even begin to market and sell and advertise your business. Before you can do business, you have to be ready to do business. So some of the things that I need you to make sure that you have before you even begin to wonder what to do is you need to understand what people are actually going to buy when they say yes to you. What plan am I signing up for? Do I have options? Do you have your credit card processing already set up? If I called you right now and I said I want to start training, how would you take my payment? What contract would I have to sign? So that is the business, right? You have to think about it from the moment somebody decides to work with you before you start thinking of any other issue that you may be encountering. Oh, maybe my Instagram needs more followers. Maybe my pictures aren't good enough. Maybe my advertisement isn't working. Maybe I should use, this or that to advertise, or maybe the flyers are not working. Before you start thinking of all of that, my first question would be, what is the process that somebody goes through to be able to actually begin to train with you? What do they call? What is the paperwork that I'm going to sign? What does the paperwork say? What are the packages? Do you have a presentation? Is there a website or a sheet of paper or a binder? Where do I see what my options are? Have you already come up with those options? What are the prices that I'm going to pay for those options when I pick one? Let's say I pick one of the options. I'm going to say, okay, how do I pay for it? Do you have a system? Can you take my credit card? Do you need me to write a check? Can I split the payment? You don't want to be caught answering those questions once the business is already going. If you don't have an answer to how do I pay for this, how many sessions do I get? Are they 1 hour? Are they 45 minutes? Are they 30 minutes? Is it a 10-session plan? Is it a month-to-month plan? Is it a 3-time-a-week plan? These are the things that if you're going to claim to have a business, you need to settle that before you even begin to put your name out there. I can't tell you how many times I run into coaches. I've told this story before, but I tried to hire a boxing coach once that didn't have prices. He said, "What do you think?" And I was like, "What I think is I'll just call you back later." And I never did, because I was like, this isn't a business. Just tell me what it is. So he was not ready to succeed. He wasn't ready to take my payment, right? It was awkward. And I was like, a business person like myself, I was like, well, I'm not even going to do this. Like, let's just move on, because this is getting too weird talking back and forth about what I should pay you. Tell me what it is. Be prepared to tell me what it is. So I'm just going over all of that, because before we even move forward, you need to have the business set up. What is the business? Is it one-on-one training? Is it group training? Is it both? Do I have, if that's the case, then do we have 2 different price points, 2 different price options? Do we have 2 different contracts? If you're going to do something like have multiple options, then you also need to have documentation for multiple options. Now, that's not to say that everything has to be done pen to paper, but whatever it is, your contract maybe has to be through a software that you email someone. But either way, the system has to be in place. The business has to be ready. So how do you know you're ready for business? Is if I called you right now You listening right now, if I called you right now, you picked up a phone and said, hey, it's Sam from the podcast. Hey, I wanted to sign up for some sessions. How do I do that? You need to know what happens next. You need to have a presentation that says, okay, Sam, well, these are the 3 options. These are the 2 options. These are the 4 options. You can do one-on-one, you can do group. For the one-on-one, it's this price. For the group, it's this price. For the one-on-one, it's this many sessions. For the group, it's this many sessions. These are the benefits for each one. This is the paperwork that I would send you, or this is the file I would send you. Which one do you want? I want to sign up for the one-on-one personal training. Great. What's your email? I'm going to send you an email, and all you're going to do is just fill that form out, make the payment via credit card, and we'll start on Monday at this location. That's business. You're ready to go. Okay, so I've harped on that long enough, but you guys may or may not be surprised, depending on who's listening. Some of you guys may be surprised how much this happened. Some of you guys may be saying, damn, you're calling me out. That's exactly my situation. Wherever you stand, I'm not saying this because I'm just making it up. I'm saying it because I see it all the time. We want to be in business without actually building a business, right? I just had a conversation with Sean this morning, and I was just telling him, I was like, dude, everybody wants to like post about having a business, post about their fitness, but nobody wants to do the work of actually building it, man. I mean, a business is like very basic elements. You know, we want to worry about what things look like when we don't even have all the pieces in place to actually run the business itself. You know, so just because we have a logo or a name or a website, that doesn't mean that it's a business. It just means you have a name. It just means you have a logo, right? But we're not ready to do business. So if you want to have a business, you got to be ready to do business. That's level 1. What do you sell? How long are the sessions? What are the prices for those packages? Where do I sign? How do I pay? How do I renew? How do I cancel? Where do we meet? All of that has to be set for you to say, this is my business. This is what I do, right? And we have to settle on something. You can't be so flexible that you want to be everything to everyone. You know, you can't just be like, well, I don't know, maybe they want to do 50 sessions. Well, then if you want 50 sessions, you have to have that as part of your options somehow. If not, then you can't do that. But you can't just leave it up in the air and hope for the best. You're going to lose a lot of potential customers. And I'll finish this point with this. The issue is that you may build a following and you may begin to market yourself, and you're marketing something that is not fully functional. And so you're actually going to do more harm than good by getting traffic to your business when the business isn't a business, okay? So you have to have a business. As basic as that sounds, I need you to assess what your business is and how do people find information about it, how do people sign up, and what are the options to sign up. Until you have that, your business isn't a business. It still has holes in it. And what you don't want to do is begin to market and advertise and brand and build something when you have nothing. Okay? So that's step 1. Now let's talk about the elements of business, and we're going to keep it super basic, okay? And again, like I said, why do I want to cover these topics? Because because we're all going to run into problems, okay? That's one thing that everybody's going to have to deal with. You're always going to have to learn certain parts of business. Even once you have the business, you're going to make changes to the business. You're going to make changes to your rates. You're going to make changes to your contracts. You're going to make changes to the times of the day that you train. There's going to be changes. But let's say you have already decided on your business and what your business is. Now you're going to begin to build your business, and every one of these elements is going to have its own unique characteristics and its own issues that you're going to have to fix and solve for. There are questions that you're going to have to answer every step of the way when you build your business. So part number 1 of a business is exposure. All right? And hopefully some of you guys follow along with these podcasts and take some notes. The first thing that every business begins to do, or should begin to do, is to get exposure somehow. Okay? In the past, I've talked about passing out coupons, passing out flyers, right? Why do I talk about that? Because it's exposure. The only way when you're new to give yourself even a chance is to begin to let people know that you exist. This is what we call advertising. And there's many different ways that you can do it. That's why I said you're going to have to solve the issue and answer the question of exposure. People seeing you. That alone is its own category. How good you become at being seen is an element of being a business, of having a business. You cannot sell your services if you just sit at home doing nothing, because the first thing that every business has to do is think of the best avenue to be seen, to be exposed to the world. Now, how you do it is where a lot of us ask questions. We ask about how we do this and we do that, but sometimes we don't realize really what we're solving for. What you're solving for is just being exposed to the world. Who do you want to see your services? How do you want to present those services? How do you want to be known? Who do you want to see you? Also, what resources do you have? Maybe you don't have the money to run advertisements, so you have to go door to door and pass out your coupons. Maybe you don't have enough experience with a camera or making a video, or maybe you have no following, so now you have to go to local businesses and put up flyers on their walls and ask them if you can put your information, right? So you can do it like that. You can, wrap your car, or you can put some magnets on your car. Some people do that, right? Now, this is a very flexible thing. Different people have different businesses, have different requirements, have different abilities, have different accessibilities. So the main thing that I need you to think about in your business, and the thing that I need you to write down as a category that you need to always come back to is, okay, I have a business. How am I getting exposure? And you have to have a plan for that. And now you can change that plan. Okay? The way that you get exposure when you're new versus when business has grown is completely different. Right? Like when I started, we would just print our information on pieces of paper and hand them out in a plaza. Nowadays, we don't do that. Nowadays, Google and advertising through social media is a better platform, because now we have more experience, we rank higher on Google, we have better marketing experience, we have money to reinvest into the business so we can have that machine running, but it requires experience and money, which a lot of new trainers don't have, which I didn't have when I started. I didn't have experience and I didn't have money. All I had was my ability to work really hard. And so I took the approach of, if I want people to know about me and my business, I have to just hand out as many of these flyers as I can every day and just let people know and hope that some of these people are interested in my product, right? So it was very rudimentary. And all exposure is like that. Some of the biggest companies get to have their name in the Super Bowl. That's massive exposure. Some of us have to just go over there and pass out flyers or leave coupons in our local businesses because it's more rudimentary. We're too small, we're too local, right? So it's all about you being realistic with where you are. But again, number one, when you think about advertising your business, when you think about putting your name out there, it's not so much about how you do it. It's about knowing that you have to have some way of doing it. Okay? I can't tell you what's right or wrong for you. Some of you guys prefer and work better promoting yourself on social media. Some of you guys are going to be better at setting up a table and doing it that way. Some of you guys are just really good at building an organic following. Some of you guys are going to pay for, a radio spot. Some of you guys could even think about, oh, maybe if I go on podcast and talk about my business, I could do that. Some of you guys that have come on the podcast, that was not the intention, but you and your Instagram and your business is going to get some exposure because we're talking about it on a podcast. So that's a way to advertise your business. Now, is it the best way? Probably not, because the listeners are also trainers. So the likelihood of trainers listening to other trainers and going to sign up for training with another trainer is a little bit lower than if we were doing a podcast for, the average person looking for a coach. But again, you can see how it's all about exposure. That's the first thing and first category in every business is at any point in your business, you need to be able to answer this question, right? That's really what I'm getting at, is when we sit and we want to talk about business, because this tends to happen a lot when I sit down and talk business with people, this is where I notice these gaps, right? What I want to talk about with somebody when we sit down and talk about business, I'm going to go, so how do you get your name out? And then they're going to share their ideas with me if they're a real business person. And they're going to tell me, I used to try this worked, this didn't work, this worked the best, I'm trying this, what do you think about this? But we're having a real dialogue about how we put our business name out there, because there's an understanding that if you're in business, you're trying to get exposure. I mean, you could stand out in a corner, wearing a chicken costume with a sign that says, do you want to train with me? And that would get you more exposure than just sitting at home. Now, would that be great exposure? Probably not. Would people take you seriously? Probably not. But I'm just saying it would get attention, and it would let people know, oh, you're the person with the chicken suit. You're the trainer with the chicken suit, right? Again, it might not be what you want, but I'm just saying maybe you can flip that and actually hold up a sign that gets attention in a different way, right? What if you were the trainer with a table that wears a muscle suit, or you get one of your friends to wear a suit next to your table, and maybe they're the ones getting the attention to come in, and you're the one passing out the coupons, right? So I'm just brainstorming random ideas, right? But I'm just giving you guys ideas because depending on where you are, you do it different, right? Like that's the stuff that I would not be doing now. But I'm just trying to show you the when you're new, sometimes there's this desperation that you should have. And you are, if you're new and if you're serious, that whole like holding up a sign and wearing a costume idea, it shouldn't be that ridiculous if you're new. Because you're trying for people to know about your service. And as funny or random or ridiculous as the idea may sound, it's still fulfilling part of the point here. It's still fulfilling exposure. It's still fulfilling getting attention, right? So that's level one business. Your business needs to figure out, how do I put my name out there? Okay? And that's why earlier I said, first, you have to have a business. A lot of you guys are asking about, how do I put my name out there? But the business isn't ready. So once you have a real business, number one, you have to start being seen. People have to begin to see your name. How you do that, there's so many different ways to do that. There are very primal, rudimentary, not very good ideas that you can do. And then there's also the very advanced stuff that you can see with some of the big companies that exist as well. So you have a whole spectrum of ideas. And we're gonna get into the next topic, because the second part now is that you need to work on. So now we're on to number two. Number one, are people finding out about you? That's one element. Now it gets a little more complicated, because this is a whole nother part of it. Number two, is the content that you're putting out getting traction? Okay? So this is about what is in that advertisement. What is the message now? Okay? This is, again, its own category. Advertising, being seen, exposure, number one, right? Exposure is just your ability to put your name out there. Number two is about the content that you're putting out there. That is another thing that it's a completely different variable. Meaning, let's take the example of you're going to pass out coupons, outside of your local gym, or at a park, a local park. Let's say you're going to go to the park and you're just going to hand people walking by some coupons. The content, right? The vehicle can be a balloon with a flyer on it. You can have a bunch of water bottles that you hand out with your name on them. You can have coupons that are paper. You can have coupons that are cut into a dumbbell. So now your coupons are unique because they look like a dumbbell. It can be that your coupon has big text and a big discount. Or it can be that your coupon gives them 10 sessions for free. Or it can be that your coupon, they have to scan your shirt, right? So it's taking the same exposure route that you took, but now the other element is fine-tuning that, right? So this is more of your marketing. It's advertising leading into marketing, right? Advertising says, here I am. Marketing now begins to say, do you want to take part in this? It's two completely different elements, right? And you need to learn to see them as different things. Just because you pass out coupons doesn't mean that your coupons are worth that person's time. Just because you advertise on social media doesn't mean that people want to click on what you're putting out. You see how they're two different categories, right? The content, the emotion, the strategy that you're applying, the unique qualities that you're putting out there, the message that you're putting out there, right? These are all different ways to say the same thing. What is it now that you are saying about your business when you get that exposure? The exposure is just yelling at the world saying, here I am. And when they look at you, now they're giving you 2 seconds to say, what are you saying? And now that's number two. What are you saying in your marketing? What are you saying when you put on that chicken suit and you stand out there, right? It can get attention, but it might not be a good approach. So now you need to change that. And I see a lot of people not knowing the difference and thinking that because they're running ads, because they're getting a big following, because they're passing a lot of coupons out, because their name is on their car, they think that people should be calling, people should be messaging them. And a lot of us are left wondering, if I'm passing out the flyers like Sam said, if I'm running advertising like he said, if I'm really hustling and going to all my local businesses just like he said, why isn't it working? Okay, because now you need to tweak the content. You figured out now exposure. People do see your ads. People see your coupons. People see your flyers. People see your car. If you have stickers or a magnet or your car is wrapped with your business, I know people see it. It's on the road. The person waiting in line behind you at a light was exposed to your business. So now the next question you have to ask yourself if you have a business is, why are they not calling? And that's its own category. That is figuring out how to have a message that impacts the person, that makes them want to know more. Okay? One of the words that I wrote here with number 2 is research, right? What you want to do is once you get someone's attention, you want them to research a little bit more. There should be something about what you're saying, about your message, that is getting them to be intrigued. This right here is a skill all on its own, right? And honestly, if I'm being honest, this is one of the skills that I personally try to study the most where I am in my career now. Even though I have built my own personal training business, now I have a gym, now I have trainers that work there. Even so, I understand as a business person the power of understanding this, so I'm always trying to get better at this. How do I put a message out there that is impactful? How do I learn to speak about what matters? How do I get the person to ask a deeper question? I can't give you all the answers. This is why you're in business, right? You wanted to play this business game. I'm actually doing a lot by even helping you see the categories, because a lot of people in business may never even be exposed to the different elements of business, right? A lot of people start a business and they're somewhat successful, but they can't get to the next level because they're not looking at the entire playing field, right? So they're left to play a game that is limited because you don't know all your options. You don't know all your moves that you can make on the board. So at least this way you guys can think deeper and understand, okay, I can spend a whole day just figuring out how to get exposure, but I also need to spend a whole day, a whole week, a whole year making sure that my message is getting better and better, that my intrigue is getting better and better. How do I get someone to want to be a part of it? And you're going to have to study it, because there's a lot of books, there's a lot of courses, there's a lot of companies that you can observe and see how is it that, when you see a commercial on TV, let's say you're watching sports on the weekend, when it cuts to commercial, you need to look at the commercials and see which ones made me intrigued. If I wanted a beer, which one of the different beers that were advertised would I want to click, and why? Ask yourself why. Was it that they put a bunch of women around this man? Was it because it was at the beach and it's a beautiful place? Was it the price? Was it the calories? Was it the flavor? Was it the quality of life? Was it the what do they call that when you're status, right? So these are things that you'll begin to over time think about more and more when you realize that you need to get exposure, yes, but then begin to get the right exposure and give the right message. And again, I can't give you the answers because this is the edge from business to business, right? The people that figure this out more and more and more over time are the ones that can grow their business more and more and more over time. The difference between being a trainer with one client and being a trainer with a gym with a bunch of clients is your ability to have your message hit home with people. It's another skill. And if I'm being honest, that is business. Figuring out how to have a message that impacts people enough for them to look deeper, right? So what I'm talking about here is, let's say you're advertising on your car. You got the exposure, but do you have words or pictures on your car that made me want to go to your site? Do you have pictures or words on your car that made me want to scan the QR code, that made me want to go and follow your social media, right? So these are two different things. That's all I'm saying. Exposure is putting the stickers on your car. Marketing is getting them to want to seek further information because they're intrigued with what you sell, okay? And not everybody's going to do it, but that's why marketing is about understanding who your potential customer is and what do they need to see, hear, or feel in order to feel like maybe you are the trainer for them. Again, that's why I want to show you the categories today. You need to respect that category all on its own. And why I'm doing today's episode is because I need to make sure that you guys know that all of these things are different things. You may have a great message, but you're not putting it in the right areas. So let's say you tell me, oh man, my message is this, this, and this, and people should train with me because of these reasons, and I know that when they see my ad, they're going to want to be part of it. Okay, where is your ad? And you may look at me with a blank stare, and I go, okay, so you got the marketing piece down, but you're still not getting exposure. And that's where I want you guys to realize that every element has to build on each other. They're different things. You can't get them confused. That's all I want you guys to think about. And really, the way that I would do it if I was listening to today's episode is have a notebook and really write down, my business has to have this, 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 and then brainstorm on each one of those. And I mean, you could even print them and put them on a frame, this is something that I've done in the past. When I get advice that I need to remember all the time, I've told you guys this. I'll like print it and laminate it and put it on a wall. Or if it's really important, I'll even like order a poster with it and frame it and put it on the wall. I'm like, these are like 4 rules to live by, right? For a long time, I had health, wealth, love, happiness. I had it on my wall because I was like, these are 4 things that I need to remember every day so that I don't fuck up my life. It was very important to me to remember that. I need it to be in the forefront. So for this in your business, you need to respect it and have it somewhere where you go. And I haven't even gone through all the list, but when you look at your notes, when you look at the wall, when you go to wherever you put this, every day you can go, okay, I need exposure, I need marketing, I need a message, I need this, I need this, I need this, so that every day you can check your business and you can move all the correct parts and you can ask all the right questions and look for all the right people that are going to give you the right answers to those right questions, because now you know where your situation is actually falling apart. That's the importance of understanding the categories and the building blocks of a real business. So that's number 2, right? It's your marketing, it's your message. Are you getting people intrigued? Number 3, if you are, then there has to be a method of contact. So I've talked about this a lot lately. Call to action. Where do they call? Is your phone number in there? Is your email in there? Is there a QR code to your website? And if they do go to the website, is it clear how they can contact you? Is it clear what they're supposed to do in order to contact you? And is it clear what it is that's going to happen first? This is another element that you have to build into your business. What is the first step that somebody has to take in order to train with you? Do I have to buy sessions in order to try it? Or do you have a free trial? And if I do have a free trial, what is that free trial? Are you going to hard close me? Is it 30 minutes? Is it an hour? Do I get nutritional advice? Do I get an assessment? Do I get, what is even my first session with you? If you can respect that, when you work on your social media, when you work on your website, right? Because you're guiding people to go somewhere, you have to understand the funnel, right? First they see you, then they feel moved to take an action. Where are they going? When you move them, you have to ask yourself, where are they going? What is the landing page? Where is it that everyone is going to make this decision? So let's say you got someone to the website. Where do they make the decision? On the website? If they go to your social media, do they make the decision on the social media or do they go to a website? So this is going to really make you think, what does my site say? What does my Instagram, my Facebook, whatever is the media of the time, what does it say? How does someone contact me? And if you think about that, you can add that to your videos. You can add that to your pictures. You can add that to your website, right? Instead of just posting something, you can post something and then at the end have it say, contact me, DM me, send me a message, go to my website, hit my consultation form, whatever it is. If you're aware that you're trying to get them to contact you, it will change the way that you look at everything and you'll be able to see the missing pieces in your business. You'll be able to clearly see, I don't have that element. How do they make a decision? So that is number 3, right? How do they contact you at all times? What if they were moved to take an action? Could they contact you in that moment? So that's another element. Every time you look at something that you're doing, you have to think, what would happen right now if that person wanted to train with me? Could they do it? Or would they have to jump through hoops to figure out how to contact me? I know it sounds simple, but it's often overlooked. Number 4, if you have that easy transition, now you've gotten them so far into the funnel that now they're ready to try it. Okay, so everything that you've done up until this point must have worked if somebody's willing to try your service, right? So once somebody books that first workout, that trial, that consultation, that assessment, whatever it is that you gave them to try, now you have a lead, okay? Now you have a presentation, right? You have somebody coming in to try your services. If you get this part wrong, then things could also fall apart. Now, we have to remember what the point of this free trial is if you are doing a free trial. The whole point of it is to lead to number 5, which is a commitment, right? So why is number 4 its own category, right? The trial. Because even your trial has to have improvements. Just like you can improve part 1, your exposure, you can improve part 2, all of your marketing and your messaging. You can improve part 3, all the different ways to make it easy to contact you. You also need to keep in mind that the first trial workout can always have improvements to make it better. How do you wow somebody enough to make a purchase? Number 5, right? So you can add things to it. You can add food talk about it. You need to have a system and a plan to make that experience great, right? Something that we do at our gym when people come in is we do a little walkthrough. It's part of the presentation. We say, this is the studio, this is where we train, this is the space. If you want water, we have it here. We have towels over here. You're welcome to grab towels, waters. This is what we use for cleaning. So we keep the studio clean. If you have any questions or if you ever needed to use the restroom is right here. It's a whole presentation. It's a whole, because we want them to feel like you're really giving me all the information. And then on top of that, we do a deep consultation. We ask deep questions. We take them through a thorough assessment. And so all of that is an experience that could either be lacking or could be improved over time. So how do you improve that? Do you improve it by having the latest technology? Do you improve it by having, outstanding customer service, by taking them through a thorough consultation? A lot of people don't have even a system to how they're going to go through that first workout. They're giving you a chance. You worked hard for this, right? You wanted them to try you. So now the question is, for you guys that have been able to figure this out, if you got people to try you and they didn't buy you, then this element right here needs work. This is, again, I'm going to stop here just to kind of review because I really need you guys to understand what the point of us talking about this category is. This is going to allow you to see where things in your business are falling apart, right? If nobody is contacting you, then the problem is before, the elements before the contact, right? So if you can look at everything that we've covered, if you can go, well, the problem is I'm not getting anybody calling me or messaging me. Well, now you begin from your contact, part 3, and you begin to work it out backwards, right? So now you have to reassess where your contact buttons are, your phone numbers, right? Can they contact me? Maybe there's a problem there. If that's right, then you go to the marketing. Is my marketing okay? Can I make my messaging better? If you figure that out, then you go to your exposure and your advertisement, and you start from there. Once you get those 3 elements down, only then will you have number 4, which is somebody giving you a shot. But that doesn't guarantee that somebody signed up. So some of you guys may be as far as getting opportunities to sell people, but because you're not considering what that process is, you may be only getting up to this point. And that's even if you're lucky. A lot of people struggle to get people to try their services. But if you figured out a way to give away discounts, to advertise yourself, to make it easy for them to contact you, whatever it is that you figured out, if people are giving you an opportunity, then you need to figure out this process, because you need to be able to get to number 5, which is what I've categorized as your commitment phase. So every business, at the end of the day, only exists if you can get to number 5, okay? Because you can tell me you get to number 4 all day, every day. Oh man, I have a bunch of people calling me. Just last week I had 3 new people come in. Okay, my question is going to be, how much money did you make from those trial workouts? Because if you didn't make money, then your problem is in your ability now to sell the training. And you guys, this is a skill. You cannot just pretend like, well, those people didn't want to sign up. No, if you practiced your salesmanship, if you had a process of selling them, if you had a process of showing them the benefits that they would get, if you had a process of asking the right questions and showing them that you can provide the solutions to their problems. Because if they gave you a chance, it means that there's a problem that you could have solved. People would not have wasted their time getting advice and getting a training session from a professional if there wasn't something that they were trying to get out of it. The problem is we don't know how to sell it. And so they leave. They're like, okay, well, thanks. I got everything I needed. I'll use your exercises that you showed me for free today, and I'll implement them to my own session. Because we didn't sell them, right? So selling is your ability to have the answers. So number one, you need to be able to figure out what they need from a coach and what they need from a service, and show them exactly how this service solves that problem. It's the only way anything is ever purchased. If I'm hungry and I'm craving fries, I'm going to go somewhere where they sell fries. Right? So it's just very simple. I'm going to go to the place that gives me that solution. If I'm looking for a gym membership that's near me, I'm going to go to a gym that's near me. Now, if they don't keep it clean, if they are not friendly, if they don't give me a proper tour, if it's not within the range of price that I can pay, even though if they're good at selling, I might pay more because I am sold. I am wowed by what they have. It's more than what I expected. So this is a responsibility that a lot of us do not want to have in our business. But you guys, if you're in business, you're in sales. Let me say that again. If you are in business, you are in sales. Because the only way your business works is if people buy. Because for all of you guys that feel uncomfortable with the word selling and sales, when you sell something, the other person does what? They buy. If you sell, they buy. You can't have one without the other. So if you are listening to this and you want customers, you want clients to buy your service, well, then you need to respect the other side of that equation. You need to sell it. You need to commit to selling it. Okay? This is your presentation. So this is something you can practice. And I understand, because when I was a new trainer, my sales director, my director of the business that I worked at, Bally Total Fitness, I remember him being frustrated with me too. Because he was like, show me your presentation. And I didn't have one. And he's like, Sam, let me show you something. And he closed his eyes. He grabbed the sheet of paper, he put his hand down, he closed his eyes, and he just started rattling off all the price points. And he went, Sam, okay, if you wanted to sign up for 3 months of training, it would be this. And it would be then you could divide it into 3, so that would be 3 payments of $450. But if you wanted to, you could also do 20 sessions. That would be it. And he was writing the whole presentation down, talking to me through the presentation with his eyes closed. And then he opened his eyes and he said, you need to know exactly what you're going to say to that individual. You need to practice your presentation. He's like, you should know your packages and your numbers front and back. And it really, made me realize how little I was thinking about my sales. I was not respecting sales at all. I just kept thinking that they would magically happen. And he was telling me it's not going to happen magically. You have to intend for it to happen, So why is getting the commitment important? Because that's the only way you do business, but also because it is also a skill all on its own. You can be great at all the other skills, but if you don't have this skill, you're not going to get anywhere. And vice versa. If you can sell, but you don't have anybody calling you, you also are going to go nowhere. Again, that's the point of today's episode. Every part of this has to be addressed. And depending on where you're noticing the gap, that's why I wanted to structure it this way so that you can see the timeline of that person coming in and working with you and eventually purchasing with you. Wherever your issue is, you just got to go to that issue, begin to fix it, and work backwards to the beginning from there. right? If you're getting exposure, if your message is impactful, if they're contacting you, if they're trying you, then they should be buying you. And at any point, wherever that breaks down, you need to go back and fix that category. That's why today's message is so powerful, or at least it should be if you're paying attention, if you're taking it seriously, because now I'm showing you how to go back and pinpoint where everything's falling apart for you, okay? So that's number 5. You get a sale. Great. Now you're in business. You have a client, okay? So if you got this far, you're doing pretty good. Now you just have to be able to repeat it. That's also why I believe in systems and categories, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to replicate it, right? If you just get lucky, your business is never going to move forward. You have to be able to replicate what you're doing. That's why I like systems. That's why I like categories, so that I can always systematize everything that I'm doing. But let's say you got a sale. There's still a couple of things left in your business that are going to take you to the next level that you also have to be paying attention to. Number 6, if you got a sale, that's great. You got a commitment. Number 6 now, can you get a recommitment? What is the lifetime of your client with you? Okay, so now even if you can get a client, the question is, are you keeping clients? Or are you struggling in your business because people keep falling off? People keep canceling. People don't renew. This is a very important, and some of you guys may have gotten this far, right? A lot of you guys are going to just be like, dude, I'm not even that far yet. I'm not getting clients. But for some of you, you know what I'm talking about. You've had clients, but you don't have that many clients now. You had 5, but now you have 2. What the hell happened? Or you had 2, but now you're back to 0. What the hell happened? This is another element of business. Recommitments. That person has to recommit to training with you every week, pretty much. Even if they're not renewing their package yet, you as a trainer have to understand the elements of getting that person to want to participate in this long term. If you are only good at working people out, but then you run out of training programs, you run out of exercises, you get complacent, you get lazy, you lose your energy, you start getting negative after a while, you start getting tired, you start rescheduling, you start canceling, any of those things are going to affect your business, because the only way for your business to grow is for you to be able to stack clients on top of clients on top of clients. If you're playing this game where you get a client, lose a client, get a client, lose a client, get a client, lose a client, you're always going to be in the same spot. So this is the next level. Even after you figure out how to sell training, even if you're good at selling training, you have to continue to get the recommitment. And that, like I said, is also a skill that a lot of us may need to go into. Some of the things that you need to consider is your actual ability to program for people. Most personal trainers cannot keep clients long term, because you guys haven't really studied your programming skills. What you guys are doing is just taking people through exercises every day, and eventually you're going to run out of steam that way, or they're going to get bored because they're just paying to work out. So maybe programming is something that you're going to have to study in order for you to be able to take somebody very far in their program and not have them fall off too soon. It could also be a soft skill issue where you need to learn and educate and read about how to get along with people, how to carry conversations with people that maybe are different than you. You know, so I've said this before, but like how to win friends and influence people. I'll say it again. Read and apply that book, because it's going to get you to have people like you long term. If you don't read that book, or if you don't have those skills, what may be happening is the conversations are not conversations that that person wants to keep having. And a lot of us as coaches don't realize that. What kind of conversation? You may think that you're great, but the evidence may show otherwise. You may think that your training is great, but the fact that they don't continue, it means it's not. You may think your conversations are great, but the fact that they don't want to keep showing up is a sign that it's not. right? So these are cues that you have to look at and you're going to have to figure out, or else your business, again, is not going to move forward if you don't have the ability to keep people interested long term. Okay, so that's its own skill, it's its own category in your business, one that you need to study and respect, just like all the other ones. The final category, if you got this far, because again, right, I'm trying to show you how it all falls apart the longer and deeper you go into your business categories. But the last one is recommend. Okay, so we got commit, recommit, and now we got recommend. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I got my little, what do you call that? Like iteration? What is that? Recommend. That just means referrals. What that means in your business now is that you are exceeding expectations. Okay, this is a very difficult level to get to in business, but it means that your business is rocking and rolling. Okay, recommendations. If you were able to get somebody all the way through this funnel, from exposure to the message, to the contact, to the trial, to the sale, to the resale, and now you're getting recommendations, well, now you are on to something. Your business has a lot of potential because not only are people satisfied, but they're more than satisfied. They're happy and they want to spread your gospel. They want to tell other people about just how great this service is. And now you've gotten to a point where you have disciples. So now your whole system becomes even better because not only have you figured out how to funnel people in from exposure all the way to recommitment, but now you have recommendations. So now you have another way to get more clients. It makes your life easier. This is where trainers that are successful trainers year after year after year, this is the level that a lot of them function at. Some of the trainers that I interviewed, I believe it, I wish I would have noted it down, but some of my first conversations with some of the trainers, I interviewed 2 female trainers. If you guys go back and run into those episodes, I don't know if they were in the 40s. No. They had to have been episodes in either the 50s, 60s, or 70s as far as like number of episodes. But I talked to them, and these 2 trainers had been trainers for decades, and they didn't really have a formal business, but what they had was recommendations. All of their clients brought them other clients, right? So I spoke to them, I learned that from them. I was like, wow, they really function on like, they didn't really have social media, they didn't really have websites, but what they had was a niche and clients that brought clients that brought clients. And so they had gotten to that level. That's a very great place to be. Okay, so exceed expectations. If you can do all of it and get to a point where your training and your marketing, everything, and your customer service is so good, you're going to get referrals, you're going to get recommendations, and that is a great sign that your business is working on all cylinders and it's moving forward, okay? So those are the 7 parts, the 7 elements, the 7 categories of your business for it to be functional and for it to grow. And so what I hope after today's episode, you guys, is that you can always go back and see where your business needs the attention, okay? Like I said earlier, one of the things that I notice is, you know, when I'm talking to a trainer or when I'm at the gym or wherever, you know, and I'm talking about personal training business with someone, I'm like, I just think that sometimes the question, or not so much the question, but yeah, the emphasis or where we think the problem is not really where the problem is. So what I hope is this will at least, it's not that it's going to solve your problems, because business is problem solving. So that's just something that you have to do for as long as you have a business. All I hope that today's episode does is it allows you to pinpoint where you need to look deeper. Okay? That's all I want you to really understand and think about with today's episode. All right. So, you know, we've gotten some questions. I appreciate it, man. You guys really hit me with a few questions this week. I just woke up to another question today. So one of you guys sent a very good question, actually. I really like this question that I got last, but I've gotten a few. I'm going to get to all of them. But yeah, somebody asked me a more like sales and referral question. So you know who you are. You just sent me a question about, getting back to somebody after you've contacted them. How many times should you reach back out? I really like that question, so I'm looking forward to getting to that one, because it is more in that sales world, and I haven't gotten like a sales question in a while, so that's going to be fun. But I do have other questions, so any of you guys that have been sending your questions in, just know that I got them, I've reviewed them. I always like to think them over a little bit before I get to it. Sometimes I go into the gym, I bring it up to Sean, I'll say, hey, somebody sent this question in. What are some things you think about? And I kind of bounce ideas off of him as well. So we're going to get to those questions. But if you guys have your own questions, send them in. We'll turn them into an episode. I love Q&As when we do them. I just love like knowing that I'm actually like specifically answering a question. It always is fun, and it gets me thinking about what you guys are going through. When you guys send in your questions, I always answer your questions on the podcast, but every once in a while, some of you guys are going to hear back from me, and we may be able to get on here and have a conversation about your business. So that's just something that I like to do every once in a while, but that part's not guaranteed, but just give it a try. Send your question in and something fun might come out of it. All right. So I'm working on some stuff that I will also be, letting you guys know about pretty soon. I'm excited. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to go back and work on that. But we're putting some more educational stuff together for you guys. Just very, very specific little lessons that I'm going to share with you guys about your websites, your consultations, and your businesses and things like that. So there's a lot of things happening that are in the works right now. But obviously, as you guys know, as I always tell you guys, I also have my real business to attend to, and so that's always going to come first. But just know that I am somebody that actually has a personal training gym that I am caring for and running and growing, and so this podcast is just like a result of all of that experience. So for those of you guys that maybe this is your first podcast you listen to, that's who I am. So if you're new and you don't know, I own a personal training studio in Culver City, and this podcast is to show you guys just some career moves, some advice, some experiences that I've had to have a place for you guys to really like learn more about the business side, the career side, the sales side of your personal training, and not just harp on like what squats get the best legs. Like we're not talking about programs here, even though that's also something we could talk about. But more than anything, I reserve that for my trainers. I go in there and I talk to them about actual programming and different ways to change programs and things like that. So that is something that I do all the time, but it's not what we talk about in this podcast. This podcast is more about the career. So that's where we're at right now. I appreciate you guys listening. And send in your questions. personaltrainerhustle.com is where you can go fill in the tab with your information and just type in your question, hit send, and I will get that and get to answering it in an upcoming episode. All right. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.